All right, so tonight we have, this is sort of our first event of the year, and we'll try and do more of these because they do seem to be popular, despite the fact that the cold seems to have kept away about half of the people who were expected tonight. But tonight we're doing a showcase sort of event, and we're going to introduce you to some entrepreneurs who have started companies that focus in the nonprofit or social enterprise space. Some of them are serving that market. Some of them are nonprofits themselves. So probably the best way to get started is to invite Jay, who can tell you a little bit about Dympol and how that all got started.
Hey everybody, I'm Jay Ziskrout. We actually go by Charitable Checkout. This is what we call the company now.
Hi everyone, here at Barefoot Foundation we're very excited and are working very hard to build a new school for displaced children in one of the most impoverished and conflicted areas of Cartagena, Colombia, my country. Today I'd like you to accompany me in
This is Shakira. She is using our platform, Charitable Checkout, to run a cause marketing campaign to raise money for her foundation, which builds schools in the third world. And tonight I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our platform that folks like Shakira are currently using. The Charitable Checkout platform that Shakira is using, and a bunch of other folks, has been designed to enable what we call influencers, but influential people. These could be filmmakers, authors, musicians, actors, politicians, anyone that has some sort of influence, or organizations like nonprofit organizations, influential brands, etc. And they use our platform to connect with the public, with the fan base, their followers, to raise money for the causes they support. Raise money or awareness for the causes that they support. And really what we're doing is encouraging charitable giving and social awareness among consumers by making a really rewarding experience. As I'll show you, we reward people both socially and economically. And for those, I guess there's only a smattering of folks that are here from nonprofit organizations. A lot of times some of the nonprofits that we work with find themselves in the position of having to reach out to their corporate partners repeatedly looking for those grants. And this gives, as I'll explain in a moment, this gives these folks an opportunity to actually reach out to their business partners in a way that allows those businesses to actually generate new customers and generate new revenues as a consequence of helping the nonprofit raise money. So when people give, or in some cases perform a desired action like certify that they donated some time or pledge to vote, they get rewarded. Now we work a lot with celebrities. I come out of the music business, and we work with a lot of folks in the music space that create campaigns to support the causes that they actually care about, and at the same time connect with their fan bases around something that's more meaningful than perhaps their next tour or their next album release, but rather something that connects with people in terms of values. And so these are a couple of campaigns that we've worked with. So these public figures, these nonprofits, these business people, either together or on their own, launch campaigns that will give a fan, for instance, the Switchfoot campaign that we're running. When a fan gives to one of Switchfoot's causes, they will get a free download from the band. They get thanked by the band on their Facebook wall. They get a coupon, a matching coupon from Hurley, a Nike-owned brand. We've seen really amazing participation rates. In some cases as high as 15% of people that see the campaign actually decide to make a donation. And downstream from there, we've seen very high participation rates or conversion rates from people that have made a donation to actually going on and doing business with the brand that gave them that reward, that gave them that coupon. And then one of the things about our platform is that we provide it for free to nonprofits that want to use it. We provide it for free to the celebrities or influencers that want to use it. We don't touch the donations. All of our income is based on generating results for the brand marketers that are using our platform, providing the premiums or the rewards to people that give. So we charge for the clicks and the signups and the redemptions that happen after the donation. That's our revenue. Really, for those familiar with the space, an affiliate marketing platform that is wrapped in lifestyle, social, and cause. So I mentioned that one of the rewards people get are getting kudos in social media. We have a feature called Social Thanks, and we've automated the process where the initiator of the campaign, in this case Shakira, she or her team will actually create what the thank you message is, but then our platform will automatically post it on the pages of all the donors that participate in the campaign. We also have a feature called Giving Squads. And Giving Squads is a program that tracks what our participants do in terms of charitable giving and also in terms of how much they promote a particular campaign in social media. So in the Shakira campaign that we're running right now, by the way, it's at buyabrick.shakira.com, desktop and mobile, if you want to check it out. The top 5 social media promoters of the campaign will actually get a private video chat with Shakira when the campaign's over. We did a campaign in September with United Way here in town, where we ranked people on a variety of metrics on these real-time leaderboards that we power, and folks won all kinds of prizes provided by Macy's. So we're rewarding people at that moment of making a donation, the give and the get, and we're incentivizing them to be champions or ambassadors to continue promoting the campaign. Again, for lots of winners, for the nonprofit to win, for the consumers to really feel good and get rewarded, and also to the extent that we have a brand partner, for those folks to be rewarded as well for having provided incentives. Much of what we do is automated. Some of the campaigns we run, we just did a big one with HGTV a couple months ago, where they used our platform to pit Ohio State and University of Michigan against one another for a charitable contest. Some of these campaigns are very high touch for us, but we've got hundreds of campaigns running at any given point in time that are fully automated, and folks can actually go and just create their campaign on our campaign creation tool and then publish one of our widgets to their Facebook page, website. We also do e-commerce integrations. So increasingly we have e-commerce service providers and e-commerce platforms that have allowed us to do integrations so that any of the merchants on those platforms, right now most of the places we've integrated are companies that provide online merchandise or online retailing for celebrities, for musicians mostly. But they can just turn on this component so that when you're buying Shakira merch, you'll be asked if you want to give a few bucks and have all the same benefits for giving on that campaign, on that e-commerce checkout, as you would on the freestanding one I showed you a minute ago on her Facebook page. So you give a few bucks, it gets added to the cart and the checkout, yet they still get all the same rewards as they did outside of e-commerce. We have integration into the major text donation service provider called mGive. So we are able to do campaigns that are activated by sending a text message, and you get a text message back from us with a short link to get all your goodies. And we were able to integrate our functionality to most of our functionality into rich media display ads, so they can really be pushed out across any ad network without having to rely on sending people to a landing page, which is normally what we do. In fact, that's our whole philosophy, to really be able to reward people for giving and to do it in a distributed way so that wherever people happen to be that would be interested in participating, the functionality is there for them. And we do some custom work as well. The top of this slide says good with a squared symbol. I look at this as, it's good squared because it's good for the world, It's good for business. It's good for the influencers that use our platform. They gain a lot of insights about their fan base. They grow their fan base. They get Twitter handles. They get email lists. They get likes. And so it really, we believe, is a good square or a triple win. What we're seeing is that, well, the participation rates vary from, low single-digit percentage points on Facebook to 15% on the e-commerce checkout side. But what we're seeing consistently is about 15% of the people that made a donation end up clicking through to our sponsor's site. So these are really attractive conversion rates for the advertisers, the marketers, and again, it's that whole triple win notion. I mentioned before, the donations is not, our revenue model. It is providing a pay-for-performance service to the marketers that provide the incentives and getting paid when we are able to quantify results for them. And that is charitable checkout.
What I'm going to do is, in order to make sure that this process runs pretty smoothly, what we're going to do is save your questions for any that you have right now. We're going to do question and answer at the end, and we're going to bring all the speakers back up. So our next speaker is Michael Lindsay, and he's from ThreeRing, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his educational market product. Great.
So, we're going to start with a quick thing to get you into the mix of things and what ThreeRing's about. I'm going to pick a volunteer from the audience. What's your name?
Alice.
Alice? Okay. Hi, I'm Michael.
Hi.
Are you a teacher?
I am not.
You're not a teacher. Okay. So what we're looking at is the typical output from a week of classes in a given elementary school classroom. Okay. You're not a teacher, Alice, but can you tell me what do you know about Melanie from this output?
She's a B+ student.
Okay. What does she need to work on next?
Yeah, I guess, getting an A.
Getting an A? Okay, that sounds good. All right, so we've got some scant details so far about Melanie's performance, about Melanie's education, about what she knows, about what she doesn't know, about what her strong suits are, about where she's excelling. We've got a random letter and attribute, but we don't know much else beyond that, okay? All right, so now you're gonna look at the same piece of work here. Now what can you tell me about what Melanie knows and doesn't know Alice? What can you tell me about her as a student or as a person from this piece of work here?
She's studying the solar system.
Okay, that sounds right to me. And what about her creativity and her handwriting and things like that? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, so she's a small child.
Okay, good. And she's got able to use adjectives. She has some trouble with her spelling, and she has some really well-formed letters with pen and with marker here. We've got a lot of interesting detail on this kind of output, right? What we're seeing is the difference between the typical grade book and the thing that actually happens in classroom, right? What happens in the classroom is so much richer than what you end up with as an output. In the typical classroom, whether it's a elementary school language arts class or whether it's a high school science class, inevitably, whatever you're talking about, the grade is not capturing the richness of what's happening, right? And that's what ThreeRing is about. ThreeRing's here about to capture the most important information from the classroom, which is lost, okay? That's because we still pride ourselves on having an interactive and a creative education system. We don't want to move to the thing where everything is being, standardized tests and everything is being multiple choice, right? We want to be creating environments for our kids where they're able to express their creativity. They're able to respond actively to the teacher. They're able to respond actively to the environment. And that's something that's been true for hundreds of years and remains true today. a lot of times we look at technology and we say, well, how can we get rid of the analog? How can we no longer have to write letters, right? How can we no longer have to do spreadsheets on the ground in big, graph paper? And that's certainly helpful in a lot of fields. But when you look at things like education or art or the ability to create deals for companies, things like that, these are things that require creativity and interaction and excitement and real physical products. Things that it doesn't make sense to just digitize away, right? In ThreeRing's case, what we're doing is we're a technology platform, but we're still saying to teachers and we're saying to students, keep doing what you're doing. Do those dioramas, do those projects, do those presentations, do those drawing exercises, those drafts, those computer graphics projects. All the things that you keep doing, that you want to do in your classroom to make your education rich, keep doing those, but use ThreeRing to capture that information. So now I'll give you, I think, a quick demo of what ThreeRing is and why it's helpful for teachers. Let's see if, I almost don't want to risk it because it's so disruptive. I'll try and project this and see if I get anything to happen. It probably won't happen, I don't think. No, all right. I don't even have the right cord for this thing. So, you'll have to bear with me while I try and show you a quick demo from small scale, but it'll give you a sense of kind of what we're trying to accomplish, right? ThreeRing is an app that works on any mobile device, Android or Apple, and allows teachers to capture information live in the classroom, or students to capture information live in the classroom in the format that they want as quickly as possible. So a teacher can use ThreeRing, and I won't show you because no one can really read it here, to tap and pick a student whose work they're capturing, and then with a touch of a button they can capture a photo or a video and automatically have it be loaded online. I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to take a quick photo. It's super bright, but there we go. All right. A lot of people looking their finest in that photo. And now, I didn't have to touch anything, but that's automatically uploaded to the internet. So now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to ThreeRing.com. We're going to log in. And what we're going to see is the picture I just took as part of a rich record of students' work from the classroom. So here are some videos I took the other night at a presentation with teachers. And here's the rest of my class's work. As we're scrolling through, the screen's a little warped, so it's pretty hard to see everything. But as we're scrolling through, we can see the pieces of work, the student name, the content, notes that the teacher takes, as well as comments and notes from students and parents. So I'll show you up here an example. Students and parents can also have accounts on ThreeRing where they see their child's work and where they see their own work, and they can comment and talk back and forth with the teacher. So what you're seeing is a way to present and a way to capture stuff that's happening in the classroom in videos and images in a much richer way than has been possible before. Teachers are already doing this and doing it illegally for their own sake. They're using Tumblr. They're tweeting out pictures from their classroom. If you pick up a teacher's iPhone and go into the library, you're going to see 2,000 pictures. 500 are going to be of their friends, and another 1,500 are going to be of their kids and at field trips, and of students talking about flying a paper airplane and why it goes the way it goes. That's because this is the kind of information that's powerful for teachers. ThreeRing is a way for them to capture that information and share it with parents, share it with their students, share it with their administrators. So I'll conclude by saying that the problem ThreeRing is solving is that this information ends up in the trash bin, right? This information ends up stuffed in the bottom of the student's backpack, but it doesn't end up saved and shared in the community. ThreeRing is an innovative solution because it's designed around the classroom experience. It's simple to use 1 or 2 buttons. Teachers have their first graders using their devices right now to capture the work for them. And it's an extremely low technology barrier, which is important to us because when you think about a lot of technology products, if you require 1 laptop per child or 1 mobile, iPad per child, you've now cut out 99.9% of schools, right? If you're requiring more than 2 or 3 devices in a classroom, you've cut out 95% of the public school classrooms in this country. The only thing that's required to use ThreeRing is a single mobile device, right? Which means it's extremely applicable for even the most challenged public school classrooms where no kids have any devices and the teacher just has their iPhone or their Android phone. That's what ThreeRing's about. We have almost 20,000 teachers using us nationally now, and we are excited for a big year in 2013, helping teachers capture what's happening in their classroom. Thanks, guys.
Okay, up next we have Sashka Rothchild, who is going to talk to us about standby.us. Did you say?
.us, yeah.
.us, okay.
No .com. Fantastic. So hi, I'm Sashka, and it's a little surreal to sort of be here because 2.5 years ago, my co-founder and I sort of sketched the idea for Standby on a napkin in a bar on Grand and Worcester. So it's a little full circle. So there's the idea really started quite a ways ago. That's gigantic. That's my mom and I. And when I was 17, my mom was diagnosed with brain cancer. We are in California. And when that happened, it sort of made things in my life go from sort of, separated into two sort of portions, which was like the before and after. So what happens when something like that sort of comes into your life is, your sort of brain gets really tunnel vision, and there's very, very, very few things that you can sort of focus on because there's so much going on that feels really like it's life or death. And so, when 11 months later, after her treatment, when she passed away, it was we were really, really, really fortunate in the sense that we had really great insurance. She was in public education, and weirdly enough, in California, if you're a public educator, that's like one of the benefits, one of the only benefits the government sort of hands out. So we had great insurance and a really great community of people around us. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are getting diagnosed with cancer. Too many people are getting diagnosed with cancer. And so thinking about the people that are getting diagnosed, most of them being sort of financially devastated from that diagnosis seemed kind of obscene. So 2.5 years ago, after reading story after story after story of people getting sick, going bankrupt, worrying about having to pay their rent instead of getting better, we decided to try and build a website that would help people with a place to sort of connect immediately and easily to support into their community from which to draw that support. So Standby became something that we had really, really clear focus that we wanted to keep it as easy and simple as possible. Remembering that your brain sort of ends up going like this, and that the fewer steps, the sort of fewer bells and whistles initially was going to make it a lot easier for people to sort of go somewhere and easily connect. So our sort of first step allows people to come into a live edit profile mode. They can create, a piece of their story. They can upload photos. They can, toggle how long they want their fundraiser to go, how much money they think they need. We're working in new ways to help people figure out meaningful ways to sort of tell their story so that their story can be more emotionally connective and hopefully sort of attract more people to their fundraiser. The other thing that was really specific is that there's a handful of fundraising engines out there, but it was really important to me to make sure that people could collect their donations immediately upon receiving them, because I think when someone's sick and when they need the help the most, that there shouldn't really be a waiting period for them to get that help. So when someone donates, a small percentage goes to standby, a small percentage goes to our payment engine, which is WePay, which has been fantastic so far. And then it goes immediately into the fundraiser's WePay account, so they're able to pull it out as it comes in, which is really every couple days. The other thing is that, as we wanted to make the sort of live edit piece of the fundraiser as easy to understand for the people that are fundraising, so they can understand exactly how it's going to look, it works responsibly across all platforms, so that your experience on your iPhone, your experience on your tablet, is going to be the same thing as it would be if you were sitting at your computer, so that stories look similar. And behavior is really easy to figure out. So you pitch in, same thing across all platforms, which has been really helpful, I think, for most of our users so far. And then I feel really sort of fortunate that I get to even show this. This is Dina's profile. She launched on January 9th. She's 29. She has breast cancer that is metastasized. She's going through a tremendous amount of symptoms that have been really, really incredibly sort of horrible to go through. And what's sort of amazing is that in the last 2 weeks, that was a screenshot taken a couple of days ago. She's now almost at her goal of $10,000, which she's been able to collect immediately. She has about 170 people who are supporting her, of which when she logs onto the site, she can come in and see every tweet that's getting pulled in from her fundraiser. She can see all of her supporters. She has sort of a wall of her community that's connected to her campaign. And then I guess my favorite part, which I spoke to her this morning, and she had this great idea that it was sort of too late to do, and she said, I asked her if she could choose one of her favorite notes that she receives, because people can log in and leave her notes. And she said, why don't you write down all of the notes onto little pieces of paper and laminate them? And I was like, look, girl, I don't have time to do that right now, but we'll try. And she said, laminate them and hand them out to everyone. And don't write any, what's going to be on, who they came from. And she's like, ask everyone to read them. And ask them how it makes them feel. She's like, because every day when I log on, it's the same thing that happens to me. She's like, I keep this tab open throughout the entire day, and as new ones come in, she keeps her eye on the page, and it's sort of become her favorite part. So, please, if you have a second, take a look. There's sort of this absurd number of people that are dealing with something that's pretty horrific. And one of the things that I think has been really exciting for me with launching something that's a social enterprise, which is sort of this relatively unknown territory, is that sort of have this great chance to redefine how we look at metrics. I think if we think about startups in more tech-focused areas, metrics are very clear-cut numbers, and nonprofits have sort of their own metrics, but being able to have the opportunity to look at the sort of impact of her notes, or the way that updates are given to people's communities is a great way that I've learned that we can sort of measure our success. So thanks.
Okay, so our next speaker is Nurul. Pronounce your last name? Yep.
Yahya.
Yahya, okay. And she's from Fiestah. It's a slightly different kind of company than organization that we've had so far this evening. Fiestah provides tools that help event planners organize events and catering for those events. I've used them myself, and I think they're a very interesting tool, especially for those who are planning nonprofit fundraising, those kinds of things. So,
hi everyone, my name is Nurul Yahya, and I'm one of the co-founders at Fiestah. And we're really excited to be here today to tell you more about our platform. It's actually my first time ever presenting. It's usually my co-founder that talks all the time, so I'm kind of nervous. So what is Fiestah? Fiestah is a marketplace for event services. We make it really simple for anyone that's planning an event to find book and manage multiple vendors. So say you are planning a corporate event or a nonprofit or a wedding, you just post what you want and you can get photographers, DJs, food trucks, and more bidding to work for you. And at the same time, we also enable skilled freelancers and vendors to look at possible jobs. So we make it easy for them to reach out to event planners when they are in their planning stages. So that's what Fiestah is. And we actually worked with Nate in August of last year for the Helping Hacks Hackathon. So for most of you who don't know, it's a 3-day event where nonprofits come together to come up with a solution for an issue that they are facing, and they pitch to developers and designers and then they spent 72 hours creating a platform or like a prototype to help that. And so for that event, you need to get catering from Friday to Sunday. So imagine you are an event planner and you're planning a hackathon and you need to get food for 100 people. So how would you start that? You would have to go on Google or Yelp. You would have to call all these different vendors, collect quotes, manage it all in a spreadsheet, and then call them back again and pay via your credit card, and then manage all the logistics up to the day of the event. And that's just so time consuming and unnecessary. So Fiestah makes it, saves time from hours to minutes. So I'll show you a demo of how it works from an event planner's perspective and from a skilled freelancer or a vendor's perspective. So our site is live on Fiestah.com, but we're just going on staging so I can show you a test of how it works. So if you're an event planner, you just come on our site and say you are planning an event. And you just sign in. It's a simple sign-in process. So you would just come up to this page where you fill in a very basic information about your event. So say you are planning a charity night. I'm just picking it up. And it is, say, this Friday from 7 p.m. till 12 a.m. And your budget, and say your budget is $400 and you're expecting 100 people, and then just say a venue. So it's just for you to manage it, and you'll come to your dashboard. So you can see all the information on the left. It's for you to track, and then you can just add what you want. So say you need a photographer for that event, and then you need them for 2 hours, and then you can just list anything that you need for the event about the photographer. So the more descriptive you are, the better. So you can say like, I want all the pictures, I want at least 200 pictures or something. I'm just making it up. And then how much you're willing to spend. So it's kind of like your budget. Are you like really, really cheap, or you want like the best, most expensive photographers ever? So it'll be here, and the status is awaiting offers. So once you do get offers from photographers, it will show there. So it's like really simple. And say you need to get, what else? Cupcakes for 100 people, and it's assorted. And then basically that's how it goes. And I can show you another event. So we can do multiple events through our site. So say there's a hackathon weekend. So you can kind of see like how everything is easily managed through our dashboard. So you can say exactly what you want, and then you can see if it's been awarded or how many offers you've gotten. So say you're looking for a photographer, you can review the offers. And this is just a test. The site's live. So say you are interested in Barbara and she gave you an awesome offer and you've messaged her to our site. You can just accept the offer and just pay via credit card. And that's pretty much it. Just click this. And later on, what we plan on doing is that you can actually see all of the vendors. So you can see their reviews and their ratings and the pictures of all they've done at their event. So you can like get to know them better. But right now we verify all the vendors. Okay, so now I'll show you what it looks like from the vendor's side. It's loading. So this is the vendor's dashboard, and it shows you all the events that they're waiting to hear back from, or all the events that they've already done, how much money they've made. So you can see that charity night needs cupcake. So say I'm like someone who's really good at baking and I have a banking job and I still want to make money part-time. Later on, I can have my own profile with my pictures of all my cupcakes, and I can say, hey, I'll do your cupcakes for 100 cupcakes for $1 each. And then you just explain it, and then you include $100. And then you just click make an offer, and then the event planner will get the information. So it's really simple, where we enable event planners to just post what they want, and vendors can bid. And once you picked who you would like to work with, you just pay via credit card, and we hold the money in escrow. So you never have to worry about paying to the vendors at the day of the event or worrying that they're running away with your money. We protect both sides. So it's really simple. We release the money to the vendor 24 hours after the event is done. So we've launched our beta at the end of August, and since then we've worked in over 100 events. And we have worked with nonprofits such as Room to Read or the Sanitation Hackathon, and we realized our platform would be very beneficial for nonprofits, because they can just say, like, I am throwing a charity night and I need to get dessert sponsored. So vendors can now see that, and they're like, all right, I'm willing to do it for free because I want people to try my cupcakes, and it's a way for me to showcase my work and potentially get more clients later on. So that is what Fiestah is. So let me know if you have any questions later.
And our final presenter for tonight is Matt Bishop. Matt is actually an alumni of the New Year, New Tech event.
Yeah.
He presented last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And since then, his platform has gone through significant revisions. He runs iGiveMore, and
Yeah.
I'll let him take it away.
There it is. Okay. That's why I have gone through significant revisions, because we made a really awesome discovery about visualizing how giving spreads online, but I'm going to get to that in a moment. So I'm going to first just talk a little bit about my background and the problem that we face, because I think the way we've thought about the problem has really shaped how we've built our product. You know, we've built every single feature with a very specific reason, and it's all based on research on what makes effective fundraising. So I'm going to start by going through the PowerPoint, then I'll show you the product. So I'm Matt. I'm founder of iGiveMore, and too often times giving looks just like that. You know, organizations are struggling to get their tech presence up, and then other times online giving might look like this. You know, where it's not a very engaging experience for the donor. And even if you do engage in online fundraising, even if you're using something like a social media fundraising, when it comes to social fundraising, oftentimes nonprofit organizations are confused. They're like, okay, I have Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Where should I be spending my time? We have about 10 gazillion fundraising products out there. So how do I make this all work? But there's a real opportunity in leveraging social networks to raise money. The research on online fundraising shows that if I send you an email to donate, and because you're on the listserv of my nonprofit, the chances of you donating are 0.08%. Pretty bad. Whereas if I'm your friend and I invite you to donate, I say, hey, it would really mean something if you would donate to the Breast Cancer Association. My mom had breast cancer. That's a really powerful ask. And the research shows that, in fact, 25% of people will donate for that. So how do you leverage people's social networks and the friendships that they have to raise money? Because there is this expectation that if you just start a campaign on Indiegogo or CrowdRise or one of these other campaigns, all of a sudden millions of people are going to show up on your page and just start clicking the social share button. The fact of the matter is, the research shows that only about 10% of the time do people click the social share button, right? And each time they click, it's worth $12 to the nonprofit organization. So we built this application with that very much in mind, with the idea that every donation should be an inspiration to give more. How do you get people to share using social media? How do you incentivize them to share? So you partly incentivize it by trying to understand what's working, you know? And a lot of the fundraising platforms out there won't even tell you what's working because they're not capturing the data on what's working, on what's an effective strategy. Is Facebook working? Is Twitter working? Is your friend John that promised you that he's gonna, post to his Facebook, is he actually doing it? So you either don't have any data, or if you're a large organization and you have lots of money, you spend tons of money on a huge CRM, and you don't understand the data. It's like you're really no much better off. Maybe you're a little bit better off because you have a lot more functionality, but you don't really understand what is working for your organization and how you can optimize your social media strategy to raise money. And then from the corporate giving perspective, well, you see that 90% of consumers want companies to be telling them about information. Nearly 2/3 of them will tell you that they don't think businesses that are giving are really providing enough information about what organizations they're supporting or how effective their programming is. So just to kind of summarize the problems that we face, individuals have that kind of uninspiring donation experience, and they're kind of like, even if they are being reached out, people are engaging them around causes, it's a different experience. It's the same experience each year where various people, and you're kind of taken from all these different directions, and you don't really have a sense of like what your impact is at the end of the day. For nonprofits, the challenge is, how do I understand social media to raise money? For businesses, how can we, if businesses are going to raise money, if they're going to give to charity, if they're going to engage with causes, they want to know that they're getting some kind of return. So how can they communicate and engage with individuals around causes in a way that gets their brand out there and maximize that impact, so that you even create competition around philanthropy. So iGiveMore is about creating a rewarding experience and motivating sharing through gamification, and you're going to see that built into our product. We were about providing smart data for nonprofits so they understand who is working, who's raising the money on their team. They could be board of directors, volunteers, whatever it might be, and what is working. Is email working? Is Facebook working? Etc. And then finally, for brands, we want to drive up the value of what it means to be a corporate donor, and really help them get that return on their value and communicate the donations that they're doing. So this is introducing iGiveMore. iGiveMore is like Facebook for fundraising, where the money that you give or raise for charity is tracked to your profile, and you can track all the causes that you're supporting, and each cause, each campaign that you're involved with is associated with a giving graph. So that's me in the center. This is my friend Jeff, and I've inspired Jeff to donate. I've invited him to donate to a cause, and he's had an impact. Well, we're very cognizant of privacy, so we use this term impact to mean the money you give plus the money you raise, because we know not everybody wants to share with their friends how much money they've given to a cause. So for an individual, it's a way of saying, hey, if you share, you'll inspire your friends to donate. You know what I'm saying? If you share, you're going to inspire your friends to donate, and you might just kind of create that viral effect. And for nonprofit organizations, we can create a visualization for an entire fundraising campaign, so that they can see who's raising the money, and then we can aggregate that data so that they can understand where that money is coming from as well. And you can see over time how the money is being raised as well. And then finally, the corporate side of our platform is being launched in a few weeks. It's very similar, just like Facebook. Corporations have profiles on Facebook. This is a place for their CSR, their corporate social responsibility, their corporate giving. And the idea is, the challenge you see in this today is you see corporations, they'll have one, the Pepsi refresh campaign, and it'll be, kind of successful this year, and then they'll do the same thing next year. And you're like, okay, well, really what was the impact of all of this at the end of the day? You know what I'm saying? So this is a way that you can track, connect your cause marketing over time, and we're developing a brand where our partners will get an iGiveMore certified donor brand, kind of which I compare to as agate of philanthropic giving, where we're trying to encourage competition and try to get corporations involved in corporate giving. And then finally, we're probably about a month away from integrating our Foursquare app, which we built at Hackathon. Show of hands, everybody, how many people use Foursquare? Okay, so some of us. So Foursquare, it's a place where you can there's 30 million users, you can check in at businesses or restaurants or clubs or something, and businesses can create specials, like deals basically. And some businesses are creating what they call charitable specials, which is if you check in at our business location when you're there, we're going to donate, it's going to unlock a donation to charity. We're going to donate $1 to the Red Cross. And Radio Shack did this, and they found that the people who are checking in were more likely to spend, would spend 350% of the people who didn't. So what our platform does is we track the real-time check-ins of the specials, and try to, again, create a fun and interactive experience where the business can, we're a third party recognizing that the business is giving and they're getting this many specials, they're getting this amount of money, and then that qualifies as money that's raised for the individual. And again, it's using game mechanics, gamification to try to motivate people to give and get engaged with charities. So I'm going to just go to our app now. So this is my profile. That's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. And this is my impact, and these are the friends who have contributed or have had an impact. And if you see that little note is coming off of them, that means that they have in turn inspired someone else to donate. They've raised money, or they've gotten someone else to donate. So these are the causes I'm associated with, and we just have a very easy kind of user experience to create messages. So this is what the result is after I've already raised money, after a campaign. This is what you see after you've raised money and inspire your friends to donate. So ultimately, I think we're really, by capturing this data and trying to understand, what gets people to share, what motivates people to share, and providing that information for charities, I think that will move them ultimately closer to a more effective fundraising campaign. Because I think one potential thing is that not all social media works for all charities. Some charities just don't, their audience is not on Twitter. So I wouldn't necessarily tell charities the secret to social media is go to Twitter, or the secret to social media is go to Facebook. For some it works, and for others it doesn't. So again, our platform is a way of engaging individuals around the social media, where they can provide a very gamified experience, a fun and interactive experience, a destination place for individual and corporate donors, and then providing that kind of useful data and analytics for the charities. So with that, I think I'll take questions. Thanks a lot.
So if we can get the speakers to come back up and just answer a few questions, probably for 15 minutes or so. So who has questions? Why don't you introduce yourself and say where you're from?
Oh, hi there. My name is William, and I work with Microsoft Advertising and volunteer for a nonprofit in my spare time. I had a question for, I think it was Jay. Was that you? So how do you, you're the people that prospect these business partners, correct? And so how do you kind of match the business partners with the nonprofit causes? Are there ever times where the nonprofit's like, actually that brand really doesn't fit with my cause, or vice versa, and how does that work?
Right, so it happens in different ways. We have sort of two main parts of our platform. One's automated. So we have brands that have said, look, we like to give back in any way. And so any of the influencers, mostly music artists that create a campaign, can grab any brand that they think would be appropriate for their audience. And so that's sort of happened, automatically. In other cases, we'll curate. I'm actually talking to some of your folks in Redmond right now about a college campaign that we're working on together. So in those cases, it's very high touch, and we're actually going, okay, this will be with this partner, playing out in these channels, and everybody's signing on. A lot of cases with a nonprofit, they're going to have their corporate partners, like the stuff we did with United Way. They've had a 75-year history with Macy's, so it's very easy for them to bring in established partners. Same with the big celebrities that we work with. They will frequently have their own brand relationships, and we'll say, okay, Elixir, you already work with Shakira, why don't you participate in this? And then, so it's automated plus manually making matches.
Other questions? Good.
Yeah, I have a specific question for you, Jay. Well, my name is Barry Chiat, and put together a program called Eye Openers and Mind Openers. It's a DVD-based program to help children that have attention and learning problems, possible alternative to sedate 3 million kids on Ritalin by doing something called EYE Yoga, which turns problems of focusing and attention to like an exercise, a muscle that actually build up. This is a real time situation for me that, there's a major musician, like Paul McCartney, that actually does a demo up on YouTube on eye yoga. He is committed, he loves to do this. Try reaching out to him, but when there's an artist or somebody like him who has a profound personal interest on what my program is based on, is there any way that you knowing this and knowing the man, who he is, could help reach out?
I do know someone who works on who manages the Lennon estate. I'm not sure how much crossover there is. I could happy to talk to you offline. One of the things we a lot of times with artists, the requests are quite onerous. You have to give up, either equipment or go do a performance, and so there's kind of a lot of work required a lot of times. And what we're able to do, in this McCartney case, literally we could create a little campaign for his team in a matter of minutes once we get the creative. So there's really almost zero effort on the celebrity's part. So it is something where they could have generate some impact with a very low amount of effort, which makes it attractive when we do make outreach to those types of personalities. So happy to talk to you.
Other questions?
Is it mine?
Yes.
I really like what you're doing. I'm visual fine arts, and I teach and do architectural restoration. But in the teaching format, and everything's so quantified and so rigid, and testing structure, and we're delivering these messages. I really like what you guys are doing. With that said, is there any way to, I even hate to say this, but to somehow take that data that you acquire and actually use it to measure to create some sort of a grading process where that could be incorporated in the rigid structure of regular grading, so that both sides of that could be balanced and measured, so that they could be maybe grafted together to make a more complete picture of a student, more so than just the quantified side or that unregistered side that you guys are trying to now.
Right.
Implement.
What you're addressing is that ThreeRing works so well with analog work, with uncategorized work right now. But what we see ThreeRing as is the best platform for gathering all the information about a child's education. When we think about our next steps, it's about capturing both the analog information as well as codified information that teachers already rely on today. And we're in the process of figuring out exactly what that might look like and how that might work.
I think you guys have a huge future, especially when you see, like in California, some teachers now are saying that they don't even want to participate with structured grading and exams anymore. And so you're starting to see a movement that if teachers would band together, I think that they would reject a lot of that structured educational, performance stuff, and they would be looking for something like this to maybe supplement and to at least show some track record. I think you guys are right on track with something here, something that could be pretty big.
I appreciate it. We'll see if the teachers nationwide react like we both hope they will.
David, do you have a question? And then you're next.
So my name's David Delaney. I help Meetup a little bit with Goodnik. I'm also work at a Kickstarter here in the city. Sashka, I actually had a question for you. Sort of two-part. Do you see that it's mostly just direct connections with people that tend to donate, or is this a really good way to kind of get like second-degree connections? And with that, is there? I hate that it has to be asked, but is there sort of like a verification type system?
Great questions. Right now, since we launched a month and a half ago, so brand new. So obviously right now the way that it's working is that most connections and giving is happening, in a sort of 1-2 degree of separation. I think one of our hopes, though, with some of the features and things that we're hoping to add on is that, as people utilize Kiva and Indiegogo and Kickstarter for ways to sort of give back, that we can sort of that we can have a piece of that space because so many people are, sort of directly affected by cancer in their families or their broader communities. So right now it's a little more close-knit. There's a little bit of sort of reach, outside of someone's, a friend telling a friend. Probably not that third connection as of right now. Though with Dina's fundraiser, since I think she's young and lives in San Francisco and is relatively well connected, it's she's getting notes from people in Jerusalem and Melbourne. Like it's pretty. I mean, like when I'm having a bad day, I go and look at her notes, and I'm like, I'm just gonna vicariously live through your good wishes right now. And with the sort of verification process, we've worked with lawyers for hours, sort of coming up with, what makes sense right now. I think that, everyone is really, really, really visible on a digital level. And so there's a lot of things we have as red flags that we look out for. Anything new that comes in, there's a handful of things that we'll look for, but generally, it's not the smartest way to try and trick someone into like there's a lot of kind of crap that you have to hoops you have to jump through. Like there would be many other options, I would think, that would be a quicker, easier way to sort of get some quick cash. So we have some things set in place, where we can yank profiles off, people's participation, seeing that people are donating, seeing that people are interacting, seeing that people are writing. Those are all sort of things that we look out for. So yeah, there's, we have our close eye on it.
In a way, the close people around them, by donating, are kind of acting as a verification process, because further out people see that there's some action. I don't know, it just seems like that's kind of an organic verification. Yeah. Actually, to follow up on the point that gentleman made about education, I actually have been an audience to the teachers that show pictures of their students and their activities and things like that. And certainly that's useful to the teacher in a way that they get to show what they're doing. But I wonder if maybe there's like a deeper way for them to use that information, not just for grading, but being able to share it in a legal way, or being able to have the profiles mean something more. I definitely think it's great though that that the parents can interact with the teacher on their activities.
I appreciate it. And what you're saying is true, is our first inspiration, more than grading or anything like that, but to have a way to celebrate all the awesome stuff that happens in classrooms, just like we do on a refrigerator door or on the bulletin board, is a really easy way to do that digitally.
I'm gonna hold off until, make sure that nobody else has any questions. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, so just thinking about social enterprises and basing your presentations, thinking, by the way, sorry, my name is Nelson. I'm a student here in New York, and I'm researching, developing, and refining my ideas about social enterprise, and I'm working with a friend on figuring out how to go forward after I've learning all I can. But my question, I guess, mostly is about user experience and the extent to which you've integrated it into your processes you've been developing your site, especially with social enterprise. You're dealing with issues and aspects of people's lives that are deeply felt. In your case, you're dealing with cancer survivors, or you're dealing with reputations, you're dealing with causes, you're dealing with how businesses are portrayed online. So, and especially as you've been developing these and expanding your networks, and you may not have direct connection to people who are using your sites. How have you been able to solicit input, or how have you been able to receive input from people as to how your platform, is being developed, is being received by those direct users, by the people that are meant to help or assist, or by the public?
Matt, do you want to start that one off? Because it sounds like you've been through an iteration based on customer experience. So how have you received information? How did you get information from your customers, and how did you iterate based on that?
Sure.
If I understood the question.
So I think whatever you're doing, if you're starting a company, I think that the best thing to do is go out and talk to the customer at the beginning with it, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to be integrating. Basically, the last iteration had an analytics section, right? That focused on providing tables and really important data, and we're going to be integrating that with the visualization. But I think it's really going out and talking to them and just getting their feedback and what do you think of this? And just really trying to understand what exactly the problem is and how you're uniquely addressing that problem. So I hope that helps answer your question. What has your experience been?
I talk to everyone, and I think that part of it too is that sometimes subjects seem taboo and hard and uncomfortable to talk about. But people want to talk about their experiences, and especially I think when it's something that feels difficult or has been sort of heartbreaking or sad or interesting. That one of the things I think that sort of probably I'll notice is that everyone wants to talk about their story because everyone wants to hear everyone else's story. Shared experience sort of helps us all sort of get better. So I think that it's trying to feel less concerned about broaching the subject with someone and really reaching out and talking to them. I talk to all of, not that we have that many yet, but I talk to all of our users, not incessantly, but I think it's important to really be sort of open and honest with everyone, and just in the sense that I so deeply care about my sort of users' experience on our site that I just tell them that, and asking for things that feel hard to talk about is not actually such a scary thing, which I think is probably important to keep in mind, because it's kind of terrifying.
With us, so we have various sort of user groups. We've done a lot of conversations on what's working, what's not. And one example, we create a campaign on a platform. You can create a campaign to benefit up to a handful of 1.5 million nonprofit organizations. That's quite an onerous task of how you even select those. So, and I don't think we're there yet, but we've done a few iterations already on how you select your charity or charities out of such a huge universe by talking to users in a different way. At least it's improving based on those feedback.
Well, to follow up, do you mind? I'll just follow up. how, if you guys have had any kind of conflict, have you guys had any conflicts between, you know, your vision for what your venture should be and how it should develop, or and have that vision in mind, and then has there been any conflict between like what your user community, your stakeholders, your partners have probably suggested that you should incorporate into your platforms or should take away, and if so, how have you dealt with that conflict?
I think you're always going to find people who are going to say, oh, what about, you should really build this feature, you should really build that, or I would really like this. And so it's a really tough balance. It's an excellent question, because you're going to be bombarded by people who are going to tell you how you should change your company or your product or your feature, you know, this feature or that. And you'll have customers that'll do the same thing. And so the challenge that you face in terms of balancing it is knowing if you talk to all the customers and they're saying exactly the same thing, then maybe your vision's a little off. Whereas if you just talk to, you don't want to change just based on the words of a few other customers. So it's really a balance, and it's really just getting to know the landscape and what else is out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no easy solution to that, because I certainly wouldn't recommend that people change their product every time they talk to a customer that tells them a different thing.
Or an investor.
Or an investor that tells you, yeah, for that matter, yeah.
And I think, like, if you are thinking of starting something, you should start it in a very lean way. Like, when we first started off, we just had 2 pages on our site where I had this vision where if someone's having a birthday party, like, the neighbor could be making the birthday cake and they could just transact via the system. So we just had like a 1-pager where someone could come in and just request stuff, and then I would be running around and like connecting them and like taking their checks, and I would like be passing them and taking that 10%. So it's like just do something like really basic so that you can gauge like, are people really interested in this, or is it just in your mind? And then when they are, then you just build like a better MVP for that and start figuring out like what your goals are.
Are all your backgrounds and information, are they in the Meetup page somewhere? Where
There's a link to each one of them.
Okay.
But there's not an extensive bio. You can look them up online.
Yeah, I'd like to ask about Fiestah, about the escrow system. You know, say for example, I'm a video guy. It might take me longer than 48 hours to process the video after the event, so can you extend that to what happens if there's a dispute?
Exactly. So when you make an offer to the event planner, say they're looking for a videographer, you would say in your description what you're going to provide, and you would have an offer terms. Right now it's just a box where you would say, I can only give it to you 48 hours after, and then later on you'll be able to include your attachments where you can discuss with the event planner exactly all the information you need. So, and then with the escrow payment, it doesn't just have to be 24 hours. You can keep it as long as we want. So we've never had that thing happen before, but I'm sure we can keep it 48 hours and release the money. So.
For disputes?
So for disputes, we are still thinking about how we're going to handle it, but we're kind of taking the Airbnb approach where we're going to have some levels. Like if you cancel at the last minute, then we're going to take 50% off or something like that. But for now, you just handle it with the event planner. So it's really easy. Yeah, just like you would do it normally.
Question. I'll get to you in the back in a second. Make a brief question.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. To ThreeRing.
ThreeRing.
Yeah. Just kind of curious. This is multi-layered questions. But you're dealing with, on one hand, the people that market tablets, the Silicon Valley, Google, billionaire types, and then you're dealing with ordinary teachers on the other hand. So, first of all, with the teachers, have you found that they're more like individuals, or are they groups, principals, districts, unions, and on that level, have you ever reached out to any people like Michelle Rhee, Students First with over 1 million members, or AmeriCorps, and with that, is there a grade level that you have a cutoff that you're focusing more on, You know, is it first, second, or is it fifth, sixth, seventh? Is there a cutoff like that? And just with the fact that, you know, the Google types that send their kids to $40,000 Steiner schools where they will not allow a tablet in until the kid is in the 5th grade. Meanwhile, they're marketing and they're saying to kindergarten kids you can't live, but their own kids, they wouldn't do that to their own.
So can you talk, I don't mean to cut you off, we're going to wrap up the evening, so can you talk about the partnerships?
Every teacher does their own thing, but that said, they have very powerful networks, whether it's large things like Students First or TFA or small professional learning networks. Appealing to their individual sensibilities and their networks are both powerful ways to reach them. With regard to which teachers like to use our product, we've been surprised that some of our biggest users are high school teachers. Even though you might think, oh, they're doing things digitally or they're doing things that are too sophisticated, turns out that's not the case. That high school teachers are as concerned as any teacher about capturing a more full picture of what students are doing in their classroom. And that can take the form of a 15-minute capstone presentation or a large-scale science experiment where they have to go through each step of the scientific method. All those kind of details that can't just be captured in an A or a B.
Okay, we'll take 2 more questions. You in the back.
I have a question for Fiestah. First of all, do you think that your site would be useful for like large nonprofits that do like that put on like large annual fundraisers and galas and those sorts of things?
Exactly, yeah. So right now, mainly the largest that we've done is like 400 people event, but our site can manage that because then we have vendors that can manage like large amount of people. So it depends on what exactly that you're requesting. Is it food or a venue or like a photographer or DJ, stuff like that. But, yeah.
Okay. And then also, in terms of vendors, so I text my brother while he was teaching.
Yeah.
So he's like, you registered.
Oh,
so
cool.
he said that he's being like vetted. So can you talk a little bit about that? And I think it also maybe as a follow-up question to like how you manage disputes. Maybe that's one way in which you kind of, head off that kind of issue.
Yeah, so right now, since we're still in beta, and there's only like 3 of us really that's doing this full time, we make sure that we're interviewing all of our vendors because we don't have a vendor profile where you can upload all your work or your videos of anything that you've done or your pictures. So we talk to them individually and we look at their work, and then once they have been approved, then they're in our site. And so when an event planner requests that person, they're going to get only like the best curated vendors. And right now we're giving them like at least 5 offers per request.
Okay.
But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
And final question.
Hi, my name is Anima Exima. I'm a founder of a company, Sinora, called Cap4. I had a general question. You guys can sort of answer, whichever way you make sense. What's been your biggest challenge with respect to public buy-in and how have you sort of addressed it? And a quick follow-up question, given that sort of most of the companies here have a social bent, to the extent that some of your consumer public is New York focused, what that experience has been like.
To be honest with you, like my biggest challenge has been, so I come from the fundraising industry. I've worked for large nonprofits, and I know the competitive landscape very well. And there are certain products you just say, like, we raise money for this, or we do that. And my challenge has been balancing building a product that is easy to explain, as well as like differentiate from my competition. Because I want my fundraising platform to be different from other platforms that are out there in a significant way. And so, but because I feel like I've built a platform that's differentiated, I feel like sometimes people don't understand. So I think that's the
pain of being first.
Yeah, it's called like the bleeding edge. So if you can be innovative and you can come out with a new a new product, I would say that like finding a succinct way to describe it is probably my greatest challenge.
I have to challenge every day.
I think it's nothing unique to a socially related startup. I mean, startup is challenging. Every day is either the greatest day or the worst day of your life, and it's never in between. And you try and do a lot of a few resources.
There was plenty of challenges. I think part of it is that how do you ingratiate yourself into a market that already has people doing similar things. I think that one solution I always just try and keep in mind is that there's very few ways that people don't connect with you if you tell them why you're doing it. I went to culinary school. Like, I didn't start out my life thinking I wanted to be like a startup founder, but the why for me is very, 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 very important. And so I think that has helped, sort of cross barriers of us too, or why me too. So I don't know. I think sometimes that can be something that helps. New York or California or Idaho, or it's sort of the people. I think generally, connect with the reason behind your existence. So.
The gap between what you want to make and how you're supposed to make money with that can be a very powerful thing. It's a constant tension. No more comment.
Yeah, you go through highs and lows in the day. Like in the morning, you can get this awesome email that you're like, whoa, everyone loves it. And then you'll go for an investor meeting and you're like, oh, your traction's it's not enough, so you need to do more. And then it's just all these conflicting stuff. So you just need to be strong.
Well, I want to thank all of our speakers. We're going to have to close off the questions. Hopefully they'll be willing to stick around for a few minutes and answer some questions offline. But once again, thanks everybody for coming. And